Maurieo! In this video I'm going to be looking at gear, working in the rain, looking after gear, keeping it secure and safe, and yourself as well. So one of the main things of course is going to deal with is the weather, but let's move on and have a look at the next slide, which is about working in the rain. Working in the rain, which is generally what we experience in New Zealand. Obviously snow, sleet and that type of thing doesn't occur very often here in the areas that I work. I have been worked in the sleety snow once, and the owner of the property came along and begged me to go home, which I did. Didn't take much begging. Right, working in the rain. Working in the rain, I have been asked, do you work in the rain? Yeah, survey gear can work in the rain, but it's hard on gear and it's hard on people. Generally, I would do it only when it's absolutely necessary. And the most important thing to sort of protect from the rain is the gear. The gear comes first, the personnel come next. So it's usually productivity drops off. If you're going to be putting wet weather gear on, it's usually very difficult to get good wet weather gear that breathes, so you usually get wet from the inside anyway, wet and sweaty and what have you, and it's sort of, you get less work done because it's raining. It's hard to read gear, hard to read data recorders, it's hard on the gear, and then of course you've got to clean up afterwards, and that takes a lot longer. So as far as working in the rain and that, I would not do it unless it's absolutely necessary. A little setup that I have worked with occasionally, I used to sometimes carry a waratah or a star post, 1.8 metre long. You can carry one of those in the truck, and sort of bang that in the ground next to where the total station or robot's been set up, and then just with cable ties or some tying wire. I always have a bit of tying wire in the truck, and a pair of pliers. I can tie an umbrella to the waratah, and that generally keeps the rain off the total station, unless of course there's a bit of wind around and the rain's coming in horizontal as opposed to vertical. But generally, yeah, if I'm asked to, if it's absolutely necessary, I will work in the rain, but try and avoid it. It's always a good time to sit in the office by the heater and do a bit of office work. So okay, so what happens? Yes, from time to time you do work in the rain. So how does that, what do you do? What do you have to tidy up if your gear does get wet? Sometimes it's unavoidable if gear is targets and what have you left out in the rain, and they do get wet. You pack up your main bit of kit, like your total station and what have you, get that in the truck, but the other gear gets wet. So what do you do when you get back? Well, generally when I get back, depending on what the gear is, I always open the boxes, if that's the minimum. If it's like tri-brax and things like that, open the boxes, let a bit of air get in. If generally though, I would get the gear out of the box and wipe all the excess moisture off just with a towel or a chamois or what have you. Just get rid of all the excess, dripping water and that. Taking particular care to actually clean the moisture out of the box itself, because they tend to, you can get puddles of water in the bottom of the box, and then get all the gear out and get it in a drying situation where it can dry out just in the natural air. Some people put bits of gear in have an actual drying room or a drying box where it might be have a light bulb or something in the bottom of it, just to have a small heat source that enables the gear to dry out a bit and the moisture to get into the air, or just as long as it's inside in a fairly dry environment, that's pretty good. I have known guys to put the survey gear into a room, close the door and turn the aircon up really high, and just to help it dry out. And then usually the next day or so, when the gear's all subsequently dried out, put it away, put it back in the box, all nice and dry. So you don't want to be putting gear away when it's wet, because it can cause fogging up of the lenses and what have you, which makes it difficult, particularly your optical plummets and things, to see marks when they're all fogged up. And it's having a bit of moisture in that's not too good for the electronics. It can cause little bits of rust and corrosion in your electronics, which can cause shorts and what have you, and it's generally not good. Bit of rusting and verdigris in the copper contacts and what have you. So generally try and keep your gear dry, warm and dry, is the way to go. Don't forget to check your battery boxes and stuff like that in the instruments. So these are tend to be cavities where water can be open to the elements from time to time, and water can accumulate in there. So open them up, and just a dry cloth or a dry towel or anything like that is good. It's pretty much all the maintenance or cleaning that you do on your instrument. When there is a bit of moisture on there, it's a good time to wipe any dirt or anything that may have accumulated on the gear and keep it right. Clean out your boxes and things like that. But generally, try and avoid any. I don't recommend you taking to your gear with any form of lubricant or anything like that, or anything too abrasive. And whereas a cleaner, I just tend to keep it all nice and dry and what have you. So yeah, that's just a little bit on your gear. This is your main electronic gear, keeping it all good to go. And now I'm just going to make a few general comments on other bits of gear. Your gear, when you're travelling in a vehicle, which is usually what you're doing to get to a job, you should be secure safely during transit. You don't want the gear bumping around in the back of the truck or there. So quite often make custom built sort of posies for the gear, or it's sort of very securely jammed or behind seats or in front of seats or whatever, so it can't move around, do it during transit, get bumped up and down. That's also an issue in that you don't want things flying around your truck at head height when you're driving, as that can tend to be quite a bit of a distraction. So sent my next note here: keep large heavy objects low in the vehicle. You don't want to be storing your peg bar or sharp sort of chainsaws or stuff like that high in the vehicle. Be very careful about that. You want to be also pretty careful about some of the, like your paint and things like that. You want to perhaps make sure that that's stored in the back of the vehicle, not somewhere where if it goes off, it can cause a lot of sort of damage to the vehicle and the upholstery and what have you. So you want to keep your sharp implements secure, so they're not flying around, cutting your head off and that during transport, or damaging other people, or that type of thing. So try and keep gear reasonably secure. You also might want to think about the security of your gear when you're out in the field. You don't want to leave it unattended for large periods of time, especially very expensive gear. So a lot of things that you need to consider. I would really recommend having a place for your gear. So I always put the gear in the same place every time, so that where it is, or where it should be. Also, it's quite helpful at the end of the day, to have a quick glance around the truck and just see that you've picked everything up. Just check that where everything is. Just a little tip: keep your gear away from electric fences, particularly electronic gear, like your metal detector and what have you. I have had some nasty experiences with this gear against electric fences. Basically, it stuffs it, makes it inoperable, and you've got to buy new stuff. So just be pretty careful around electric fences with electronic gear. Try to keep it away from it, and so it doesn't fail or let you down. And keep your gear sharp and usable, well maintained. Obviously, nothing worse than needing to have a slasher to cut through some scrub, only to find that it's as blunt as a butter knife, and you'd probably be better off chewing through it with your teeth. But so no point carrying bloody gear around in your truck that's not sharp or usable. And yeah, just remember your gear is your livelihood. If you've got an expensive bit of kit there, or especially if you're like me and you work on a contract basis, you know, if the gear's down, if you're getting it's downtime for you, you can't earn money. So look after your gear, and, you know, look after it well, and it'll extend its life, and it'll give you good service, and yeah, sort of won't tend to let you down. So there you are, a little bit on gear, looking after gear, and that sort of thing.